Don't die like a beast. If you're dead set to be sunk in the mid-Atlantic or Pacific or scorched in the desert, at least know why it is done to you. To die not knowing why is to die like an animal. To die like a human being, you have at least got to know why it is done to you. So to understand the concept of what is commonly referred to as the New World Order, the idea of a one world or global government, we must acknowledge these critical factors. And while there are those who do recognize that the Rothschild banking family are key players in the drive for a New World Order, there is still much misinformation and deliberate disinformation surrounding this dynasty, whose tentacles now reach into the highest levels of the American system. The New World Order is real, and this is what it's all about. That the consolidation of Rothschild power over the British Empire laid the foundation for the framework of the New World Order. That the United States today, as a result of Rothschild influence within, is now the virtual engine of Rothschild power. That the United States constitutes the new Babylon in the Jewish worldview, the force to be utilized for achieving the New World Order. There are still forces, even at high levels, resisting the Jewish utopia. However, there are many non-Jewish powers that have come to accept the Jewish influence as a reality that must be dealt with. These elements have thus surrendered and allow their own desire for power to dictate their cooperation with the New World Order, hoping, we presume, to be granted a few crumbs when the Jewish utopia comes into being. They're fooling themselves, for they fail to understand the philosophical intentions of the New World Order so clearly outlined in Jewish teaching. In truth, the age-old Jewish dream of a New World Order set forth in the Talmud was, in a definitive sense, the driving force behind the rise of the Rothschild Empire. S.J. Cohen, who wrote an early admiring biography of Meyer Rothschild, the founder of the Rothschild dynasty, he says, Meyer Rothschild was a zealous believer in the Talmud and chose it alone as the guiding principle of all his actions. That Jewish state known as Israel, we're taught that all the Jews are just looking for a nice little homeland where they can thrive among themselves. No, it's much more than that. The city of London, I call it the jewel of Rothschild's imperial crown. Not even part of the city of London as we think of the city of London as the capital of England or as a geographic entity. The city of London is the financial foundation for this global imperium, this Jewish utopia.
After the Great Fire of London in 1666, Sir Christopher Wren was chosen to redesign St. Paul's Cathedral. He oriented St. Paul's in line with the axis of Temple Church. Extending beyond St. Paul's, we see the alignment continues to the Bank of England. The bank was chartered in 1694 during the construction of Wren's Cathedral. More than just a local branch, the Bank of England is the central bank of the whole of the United Kingdom, and is the model on which most countries' modern central banks are based. The Bank of England is literally the mother of all banks. Temple Bar was a gate designed by Sir Christopher Wren to ceremonially bar access to the City of London. Wren's Gate is no longer there. It is a little-known legal fact that the monarch may not enter the City of London without the permission of the Lord Mayor of London. He's the guy who runs the City of London Corporation, a tiny private jurisdiction that covers only about 1 square mile.
John McCain, American disciple of the Rothschild Empire. John McCain didn't get elected president, folks, but he went begging at the Rothschild court in London for their support, along with his good friend Joe Lieberman, recognizing that that's where the real power lies, folks. These kings of kings, the secret influence behind the thrones, who years and years ago, back in the 1800s, people were already saying that the Rothschilds would be the rulers of a world in the hands of the Jews, the Rothschilds and the families working with them. The 30 most powerful Jewish families. The Bronfman gang, the royal family of American Jewry. The Bronfman. These are the people who are complaining that they're suppressed and oppressed, and that people are campaigning to destroy them, and yet they are the ones who control the media. They're the ones who control academia. They're the ones who dominate many industries.
Behind me is the Temple of Apollo on the Rothschild estate. They talk about Lucifer being God, and the initiates of the higher order of the Masonic religion following the Luciferian doctrine. These people here, they support the socialist agenda, but are they socialist? No. See, communism is not a creation of the masses to overthrow the banking establishment. It's a creation of the banking establishment to overthrow and enslave the masses. The leadership of communism isn't really run from Moscow, Beijing, Hanoi, or Havana. It's always been run from London, New York, and Washington, D.C. It's not a movement of the poor, it's a movement of the rich. The people think they're getting something for nothing. They're going to take from the rich and give to the poor. These sheep are like so many of you who don't recognize that you're being sheared, that don't recognize what is before your very eyes. But the people, the sheeple here, just going along with the surrender of the national sovereignty, going along with the enslavement, going on with those things which are intolerable. When you accept the intolerable, you wake up in the morning and a nation is slave.
It is Murdoch's papers that chair-led the war in Iraq, that cheerleads all UK foreign policy when it is in lockstep with Washington. It chair-led the bailouts after the financial crash of 2008. But it's not just his newspapers that exert a disproportionate influence on life in Britain. Books and films in Britain are de facto vetted by Murdoch because News Corp is involved in HarperCollins and 20th Century Fox. And his Sky News operation will never want to upset the interests of Murdoch as long as he is in control of the network.
If Gaddafi had an intent to try to reprice his oil or whatever else the country was selling in the global markets and accept something else as a currency, or maybe launch a gold dinar currency, any move such as that would certainly not be welcomed by the power elite today who are responsible for controlling the world's central banks. So yes, that would certainly be something that would cause his immediate dismissal and the need for other reasons to be brought forth for removing him from power.
Muammar Gaddafi ran his government in the interest of the Libyan people. In Libya, you got a free education and you got free health care. The largest cause of bankruptcy in the United States is medical bills. People go to the emergency room and have to pay for their emergency operation with a credit card. You had all of these benefits in Libya going to the Libyan people. Now the country will be put under the advocates of the international banking system, and they will end up loaded down with usurious debt for education, for jobs that don't exist and they can't pay for.
Muammar Gaddafi has a choice. The resolution that passed lays out very clear conditions that must be met. These terms are not subject to negotiation. If Gaddafi does not comply with the resolution, the international community will impose consequences, and the resolution will be enforced through military action.
Understand this world. We are with Muammar Gaddafi. All the Libyan people with Muammar Gaddafi. You are nothing, Obama. You are nothing. And the NATO, where is the safety that the NATO talk about? Where's the democracy of your country? Leave us, leave alone. Leave us, leave us. Let us live in peace. Let us live in peace. We won't live in peace. And peace with Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi, give us the safety. Give me the freedom, give the Libyan people the freedom. And Allah wa Muhammad uliyah.
This is overthrowing a government that did nothing to harm any country in NATO. This was an act of naked aggression. This is a looting operation. This is the NATO's attempt to use the Arab Spring revolutions as cover to take over a country, a sovereign country that has not attacked NATO, and to loot this country of its resources, its oil, its water, and its gold.